Stamford Bridge is the setting for the second meeting between Chelsea and Tottenham this season, with the Blues looking to avenge September's League Cup defeat on penalties and bring the bragging rights back to South West London.
Some people think it's just a rivalry. But if you know, you know. There's feelings in this one. Beyond what comes from the preparation. It's delicate. Part calculated expression of energy and will. Part instinct. What makes this such a spectacle, a canvas for the courageous, is heart. No one remembers a winner without soul. Whoever masters their emotions in these games takes the prize. A pride which stretches across London and beyond. Those who have played or witnessed will know. Eden's equaliser, the finals, the 6-1.
And if they don't, they will when the final whistle blows.
Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. It's a special one. It's Derby Day. It's a top of the table clash. It's Frank versus Jose. It's Chelsea versus Spurs. Those getting the nod on Matchday Live today are me, Jason Cundy, Pat Nevin, Abby McCarthy and Zach Jalab as well. Let's get straight into Play Predictor for today because this is your last chance to enter and win this month. The fan who scores the highest number of points and tops the table for November will win a £500 Megastore voucher and a signed merchandise bundle as well. Submit your predictions right now on the Fifth Stand app to see if you can top the leaderboard. And remember, it closes at 3:30, so not too much longer. Make sure you get those votes in very, very quickly. Here is what we have gone for today. All of us predicting a tight one today. I've gone 2-1. Pat's gone 2-1. Abby's gone 2-1. Zach's gone 2-1. And Jason has gone 1-0. Jay, we'll start with you then, mate. 1-0, you are at Stamford Bridge for us today. We're getting closer to kick-off. I know we're all feeling tense and cautious and nervous and excited, all of the above. Talk me through it, mate.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be a game of defensive. We know how Jose's going to set up. This is not the greatest team he has ever had in the Premier League. He's not the two best centre-halves he's ever had, not the best goalkeepers he's ever had, but he will set the team up to protect them. And actually, they've defended very, very well of late, and they've got the results. And had there been one or two more decisions that have gone their way, you know, looking Newcastle, they'd be top of the table right now. And if they can concede 3 late goals against West Ham, they'd actually be quite a distance between everyone else. And the minute Jose's getting a few things right. Having said that, this team can be got at. We've seen them play recently against West Bromwich Albion. One or two other teams, trying to think of the teams they... West Bromwich Albion is the game I'm thinking of. Late winner there. It's not a particularly great team. But I think it's going to be tight. Just see Jose setting up... and trying to frustrate, trying to suffocate the game, play at their tempo. Kane is key, absolutely key. And I think the role of N'Golo Kanté today is going to be absolutely crucial when Kane drops into that space. And their fullbacks love to go high and wide when they win in this transition. When they go high and wide and they'll try and counter-attack. There's so many different little facets to this game tactically that I'm really looking forward to see how we approach it and how they deal with us and vice versa.
Pat, let's be brutally honest here. This is the first time in a long time that this clash has meant more on the field than perhaps it has off the field. You know, there's always narratives, there's always build-up between Chelsea and Tottenham. You know, we look at Frank versus Jose, the London derby rivalry, the bragging rights between the two. But also, this time, for the first time in a long time, it's a genuine title clash. And whoever wins today will get a lot more than just 3 points, won't they?
Yes, and it's one of those ones where, as players, usually you will react with the fans, but you can't react with the fans afterwards. However, you don't need it because, as you say, it's a complete table clash. And it's two teams that probably deserve to be. The thing I like about it is two teams that have real abilities to score goals and create goals. The way that Spurs have set out today, you know, Kane, just as Jason was saying there, Kane has got this brilliant ability to just drop off deep into the false 9 position. And they've got Bergwijn, who's going to go up one side, obviously, and Son, who's going to go the other side. Now, classically, we've got two fullbacks who want to spend all their time attacking. So there's a massive gap in there. So correct, Jason, again, Kanté, what he does is totally vital today. There was no more certain player. I'll tell you, even when Mendy, Kanté had to play today because he is so important at covering that area, but also covering the wide areas that they are going to break into. I mean, I cannot wait for this game because tactically it's going to be so interesting. And Frank's learned a lot in a short period of time, but he's against the master. And he's done them a couple of times already. If he does them 3 times in a row, I think he gets to keep them.
I'd love to think that's how it works. Zach, I'm sorry to rush you and Abby, mate, but I'm going to have to get a quick answer from you both. You've gone 2-1. A lot of us have gone 2-1 today. Everyone except Jason's gone 2-1. We predict it to be a tight one. Who do you think will make the difference?
Probably a Werner or Mason Mount. Recently, Mason's been in incredible form. Every single game, minimum 8 out of 10 performance. And look, Spurs are there to be got at. I think back to when we played that League Cup game. Unfortunately, we lost on penalties. But really, at half-time, we should have been 3 or 4-0 up at that point. So they are defensive weaknesses. And without Toby Alderweireld in their squad, I think we could have a fun time up top.
Definitely. And Abby as well, in terms of bragging rights, usually this is a big one because it means, we've all got Tottenham friends that we want to rub it into a little bit more. The fact we can't be there and enjoy the day as much in person means that this matters a little bit more, doesn't it? Because let's have it, right? I want to be able to brag on Twitter later tonight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Big time. But I am feeling the nerves. I've got that sickness in the pit of my stomach. But I believe in us. We've been on great form recently and we're going to win. Let's just channel that positivity and let's hope that we can do it today. And we can all brag on Twitter together later. Come on.
Absolutely right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get straight onto hot topic 1 for today, which is 1,000 games for Roman Abramovich. Now, this is a big deal. It's a big day for us as well. It's a very special one. It's Roman's 1,000th game as Blues owner. We could do the whole show on the influence and the special things and the gratitude that we have towards Roman Abramovich. So let's dig through a few of the highlights. Obviously, there's so many, but 5 Premier Leagues, 5 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 2 Europa Leagues, 1 very special night in Munich, which meant we get to lift the big one as well. Jace, I know that you and Pat will have seen the transition before and after Roman, but I've had to mute you a little bit, mate, just so you're aware of that because it's getting noisy inside Stamford Bridge already. But just on that, the influence that Roman has brought to us, today should be a celebratory day. It should be a special day, one where we can show that gratitude, but also the performance on the pitch is all that matters today.
Oh, no, absolutely. And Roman will know that no more than anyone else here at Stamford Bridge. But the transformation since he's been here, they said it wouldn't last. 1,000 games later, he is still here. And it's been a remarkable journey. There have been some highs, there have been some lows, more highs than lows, thankfully. But we have developed into one of the world's biggest football clubs. And we had to, just because you have the money to spend, you've got to get it right. You've got to get the right personnel in. You've got to get the right players in. You've got to get the right manager in. And we seem to get so much more right than we do wrong. And that, you look at the money that Liverpool spent. They were the first football club to spend over £1 billion without winning the Premier League. So it just goes to show money doesn't everything. But we are a remarkable football club, and Roman has added so much to it. And we're forever grateful. But today it's just 3 points. I know we're going to go over some of the high points of that since Roman has been here. There are hundreds to choose from. So we're very lucky. Honestly, we're so lucky to have him.
Well, let's do that. Let's go around and all speak about our most favourite moments. Now, whoever gets first pick is clearly going to pick the one we're all thinking of straight away. So, Abby, I'm going to give you the honour. What was your favourite moment under Roman Abramovich?
I mean, it's got to be the 2012 Champions League victory. I mean, any Chelsea fan, even talking about it, you might see some happy tears start rolling out of my eyes. I mean, what a moment. We'd had a lot of heartbreak in the Champions League, so many near misses, getting into the semi-final, losing in the final to Manchester United. And 2012 just didn't feel like the year that we were going to do it. We were absolutely the underdog. We had a caretaker manager. The spine of our team at that point were old and arguably past their peak. Then we played Bayern Munich. They got to play at home. They scored in, the 82nd minute. And that was it. We thought it was it, wasn't it? And then obviously Drogba, the man, bullet header, and of course that winning penalty is just amazing. And the fact that Drogba and Cech as well were such a huge part of that game. They were the real heroes, and they're arguably Abramovich's biggest signings, I guess, like the people that he brought in. So it just felt like that whole project was worth it. And what a moment, it's just one I fondly look back on a lot of the time.
Lads, Abby has kind of stolen all of our thunder, and also I don't want us to do too much because I'm kind of hoping off the back of it I get a little documentary I get to make. So quickly, and don't give too much away because we've got team news very, very shortly as well. Zach, what's your favourite moment, mate?
As you said, there's so many, but I think maybe 04-05, the season, the title, it was the beginning of everything, right? It was the beginning of that era of Chelsea, those players, the manager who funny enough, we're playing against today. It was just kind of the beginning, and as like you look back on it and think that's where it really started, that whole season, the whole great team that we had, and as you said, the core that went on to win the Champions League. It was the beginning of everything.
Pat, what about yours, mate?
Do you remember that great Barcelona team that were the best in history the world has ever seen? We managed to do them. In the 92nd minute, when Fernando Torres goes away, and you think, oh, well, there's nobody there. I still find that more spine-tingling.
Yeah.
We are getting to the Champions League final. So you ask for a moment, that's a very moment. For me, historically for Chelsea, that's right up.
Spot on, mate. And Jace, very, very quickly from you, mate.
Yeah, just my favourite season so far is the 2010, the double winning side. It was just a fabulous season. It was fun. We scored literally every time I come in, we score a hatful of goals. And of course, to win the club's first double as well was just a monumental season. And it feels a little bit kind of, in terms of enjoyment levels right now, this is starting to rival it.
Mate, I'd absolutely agree with you. And I'll tell you what, let's go straight into team news then. Today's a big one. We are joined by Ben Andrews from Stamford Bridge. Ben, you've got the news that we've all been waiting on, mate. Go on. The floor is yours.
Right. Well, it's 4-3-3 for a start. And I think if all of us were picking a 4-3-3 right now on form, we would go with the team that Frank has selected so we can all feel clever about ourselves. 3 changes, that means, from the Rennes game. 1 in each strand, if you like. 1 at the back is Reece James in for Azpilicueta. The 1 in midfield is N'Golo in for Jorginho. And the 1 in the front 3 is Hakim Ziyech back in with Callum Hudson-Odoi missing out altogether, incidentally, because Christian Pulisic is back on the bench. So just to confirm, that is Mendy in goal, Reece James, Zuma, Thiago Silva and Ben Chilwell at the back. N'Golo, Kovacic, who's played himself in ahead of Jorginho at the moment, and N'Golo Kanté, Ziyech, Tammy Abraham and Timo Werner. I don't know if you lot were thinking at all about the possibility of 3 at the back today. I wondered if we might do that for 2 reasons. 1, the last game against a big oppo was Man U away, and he did that. And 2, perhaps more pertinently, both games against Spurs last year when Chelsea was so dominant in both, Frank went 3-4-3 in those games, but he hasn't. It's 4-3-3 today.
Pat, just carrying on from that, from what Ben's saying there, because it's a great point. And to be honest, like we said, we've looked defensively so sound, especially with 3 at the back. Is that something that you'd perhaps pondered on today, or is the team as you expected?
You know what? We were talking about betting beforehand. I don't bet, but I almost had a wee bet that Marcus Alonso would turn up again against Spurs. He's been so phenomenal. And if you play 3-4-3, he's amazing at it. Having said that, Chilwell can do that position. No, I wouldn't have been surprised about it at all. And to be honest, I wrote out 2 different types of team sheet. I'll be honest with you, 2 different types. One's got that one system on it. One's got the other system. I was that unsure about it. But I'm happy he's been positive about it because we're a team that's got enough quality going forward. And I think he wanted to make sure he could get other people into the team that wouldn't have got in under a 3-4-3. So, and also remember, it's adaptable. You can put Werner up top alongside Tammy, and they do work up top sometimes. Biggest question for me, was it going to be Reece? Was it going to be Aspie? Really tough call, that one. And I think he's just thought about the pace that's in the Spurs side, and that's kind of why he's went with Reece. Other than that, probably quite obvious, and I'd go along with Ben. What we would have chosen, the Gaffer's chosen.
Ben, on Spurs team news, any surprises in there?
They've only made 1 change from, forget midweek, because that's midweek and Europa, he changes it a lot. But from the team that beat Man City, which is obviously far more pertinent given the kind of game we probably expect to see here today, he's made 1 change, and that's enforced. That being Toby Alderweireld is out. He's not in the squad. And Joe Rodon is in. So quite a game for him to come into the start at centre-half. Otherwise, it is the team that beat Man City. So it's Bergwijn up there with Son and Harry Kane.
Jace, obviously that's the front 3 that everyone's looking at it from a Chelsea perspective. 2 of those 3 names in Son and Kane have been 2 of the biggest and best performers in the league so far, and they're the ones that we need to keep quiet today. In terms of that, do you think Frank has the selection has gone more towards let them worry about us, and if we do our job, will be okay rather than perhaps going for a 5 at the back and trying to suffocate him, as it were?
I think so. I mean, we did play 4 at the back against Spurs, when you remember, in the League Cup earlier this season. So I think he may well have looked at that performance as well. I think the 3 at the back goes in with a certain mindset. It is a little bit more, okay, let's keep things tight, which is fine, because I think we can play that system and play it very well. I think the 4 gives you that, plus you can go and actually cause them problems as well. And I think we have to be very mindful of the pace that they've got. They played a system of a 4-4-2 against City, Bergwijn and Kane up top, yet Son was the one that was looking to, just not cheat's the right word, but in areas where he can affect the ball defensively, but also if there is a change in possession, he can also really affect the game that way as well. So Son kind of plays in a bit of a mid. He's either wide of the left of a 3, goes and joins, or he tucks in and makes a 4. So Bergwijn was the one that closed it, but Kane is key. Kane is absolutely key. He's the one that makes them tick. He will be looking to dictate play. Once he drops into those areas, that's when you see Son, you'll see Bergwijn, you'll see Reguilon go as well. The fullbacks will go. They'll look to do that. So if you can sometimes stop the ball going into Kane, yes, that's not always easy to do, because Kane drifts into those little pockets and gets on the half turn. He's so good at it. And that's where we spoke about N'Golo Kanté. N'Golo's got to look, and also the 2 either side. You know, don't just leave it to him, because he drops in those areas. Sometimes he might even drop, and he drops even deeper than where N'Golo Kanté is going to be. So I think that both managers will be very much aware of what the opposition has got, but at the same time, comfortable and confident that they can not only just deal with that, but also cause problems on the other side. It's a fascinating game.
Ben, obviously the announcement this week is that fans will be allowed back into stadiums in some parts of the country. We're lucky enough that fans will be allowed back into Stamford Bridge as early as next weekend. It's obviously a shame that this fixture isn't 7 or 10 days later on, so we could have fans in. But how much of a boost will it be? But also, how strange will it be to welcome fans back in, and it's such a small number that we're allowed in to start with?
Well, it will be odd, unless you've been here, like I have, a little bit for things like Youth Cup games and things like that, where you just have a few here in the East Stand. But yeah, you're so right. I mean, Leeds, for Tottenham and Leeds, how great would that have been for those to be the 2 games? So it will be odd. It will be odd to not see Jason clenching his fist in the direction of the shed end, shouting, "Have that, you!" I think he might just do it anyway. We'll pretend they are there. But yeah, I mean, this does have everything, doesn't it? I mean, if this was mid-table in Division 3, it wouldn't need subplots, but it's got them. It's got Frank and Jose. It's got 2 clubs banging form, and it's got winner goes top of the league. I mean, the only thing it's missing is the support.
Amazing.
Absolutely. Ben, we'll let you go and get set for kickoff, mate. Thank you so much for joining us for the team news. Have a good one, mate. Stay warm. And we'll hopefully have something to celebrate a little bit later on. Nice one, Ben. Let's go straight on to our hot topic 2 for today then, which is team news. Carrying on from that, Abby, has there been much reaction on the 5th stand-up so far?
There has been a lot, actually. A lot of people saying they wanted Giroud to start, but obviously that's kind of not happening now. People hoping Pulisic features off the bench, which would be nice to see now, he's back fit. A lot of people want to see some Reece James and Chilwell crosses. I'm also here for that. And a lot of people wanted Werner to start as well. Obviously, he's been pretty lethal, but there's been some chances he's not quite put away. But I feel like today could be his day, hopefully.
Zach, mate, how much of a bonus is it, like Abby pointed out there, how much of a bonus is it to have Christian Pulisic back in contention today, back on the bench, and also sporting a new beard as well? So I'm sure you've been having a few words.
Taking some tips, mate.
I think you've been having a word, yeah.
Mate, there aren't enough superlatives to be able to describe him as a footballer. Out of all the players that we've signed and all this over the past few years, he's still up there as the potential of a world beater, one of the best in the world, and he really has that. He's not only just got us as a Chelsea fan base, he's got the whole of the United States supporting him as well. And on his day, when he's fit and fighting and ready, he's the best player on the pitch. That left wing spot, he gets compared to Eden Hazard a lot, which I actually don't think is the right comparison. I think he's his own player. And to kind of follow Eden Hazard is a hard thing to do. But on his day, he's fantastic. Last season, we saw, especially after the restart against City, the speed he has, the dribbling ability he has, and he's also pretty potent in front of goal. So I think it will be exciting to see him eventually come off the bench. I don't doubt that we will not see him. It's just about making sure he stays fully fit now. He's come back from this injury. The luxury we have with this squad is that we don't have to rush him back like we may have had to do so last season. And so let's try and make sure he is fit before we get him properly back into games. And when he is fully fit, it's going to be very exciting to see.
Absolutely, mate. That's the beauty, isn't it? We've seen the squad. We're buzzing about the lineup, and then we've still got that sort of quality on the bench, and we know when they're fit and firing, it's going to be superb. Right. Well, I tell you what, we are getting closer. Of course, live warm-ups from Stamford Bridge coming your way next on Matchday Live after the manager's press conference, which we'll see next. So we'll see you soon.
Hello, Frank. Thank you for your time.
Hi, Gary.
Hello there. Team news, please, sir.
Team news is that we're as we were. Christian Pulisic is back in to contention and fitness. Kai Havertz played some minutes the other day. It's probably more just checking on his potential for match fitness, but we're in pretty good shape.
It's good to hear. People seem to be reporting as facts that you're in talks at the club with Thiago to keep him for an extra year.
Yeah, I've seen the reports, and there's an option in Thiago's contract that we can look at as the season goes on. And obviously the way he's playing at the minute, we're very happy. So that's the end of it, really. I'm surprised it's come out in that way.
So it's not wrong, but you're not saying any more. I'll put it like that.
There's an option in his contract, yeah. So.
Obviously, always a big game, a London derby. Frank, Jose, but two teams in such good form, in the best form currently in the Premier League. Is it extra special?
I think Chelsea-Tottenham is extra special anyway because of the rivalry between the two teams. I played in the fixture many a time, and the fact that we're in good form and towards the top end of the table adds spice. It's obviously positions that we want to be in. We're all fighting for those kind of positions. So I think it's a game that remains special for those reasons. But in the league positions, of course, all eyes will be drawn to it.
Bookies have you and Spurs third and fourth favourites to win the title. Jose says constantly he's just looking at the next game. That's obviously his way of dealing with the fact that they're top of the table. You're not far behind them. Are you both, do you think, Spurs and Chelsea title contenders a quarter of the way through the season?
No, I understand Jose's answer, and that's a position we should be in because the marker has been set by Liverpool and Manchester City in the last 2 or 3 seasons. We're early on in the season, really, in terms of games, so we shouldn't get carried away with our teams. It's good that we're competing high up, but there's such a long way to go that I understand his position. I feel the same about us.
And just finally from me, Frank, if I could just change tack slightly, just your thoughts on the loss this week of Diego.
Yeah, Diego Maradona was my idol growing up. He was a person that, I was always born into a football family, but he was the player on the world stage that made me fall in love with the game. I remember vividly moments of World Cups in my early years. I wasn't even that put out by the hand of God. I was as an England fan, but his individual brilliance overcame that as I grew up. Was fortunate enough to meet him very briefly. He's a footballing god, and it's very sad that he's not with us.
John Southall, 5 Live.
Hi Frank.
Hi.
How much do you enjoy the challenge of going up against Jose? Obviously, you've got a very good record against him as a manager. You've had that little spat on the touchline. How important for you is it to stand your ground against the likes of Jose, Jurgen Klopp, Pep as a young manager?
Yeah, I don't. It's not important to stand my ground. It's important to approach the games against all the top coaches. We're fortunate in the Premier League to have great coaches. Try and prepare my team as well as I can to try and win the games, and that's just my job. So, of course, these are the moments you want to be in this job for when you're competing against the best.
Just a quick one on the coronavirus. Obviously, over Christmas, there's going to be a bit of a relaxation where families can meet in with 3 different other families. How does that work with your players? Will you be allowing them to do that, or is that too much of a risk over Christmas?
I actually haven't gotten that far down the line. I'm sorry to not give you an answer on that, but towards that period or before that period, we'll look closely at what we feel is the best way. I want the players to be spending Christmas with their loved ones, and I think that's an important thing. If it can be done safely, then I'll have absolutely no problem with that. So I'll deal with that nearer the time.
Yeah, and one thing that will happen before then is that fans will be back in stadiums. So how excited are you about that? Even if it's only going to be 2,000?
Yeah, I'm delighted for that. The low level numbers, I think if that's safe and it's come from the government, that's their call. then it's just a great first small step towards where we want to get to. And hopefully, if things are done well and we see that the safety is very comfortable for everybody, we'll move quickly up and hopefully get more fans, because everybody obviously is desperate. We're desperate from our end, and fans are desperate to get back in the right way.
And just quickly on Pulisic, he's ready. He's fit and ready to start, is he?
Yeah, he's fit and well, we're ready to start is a question mark. It's hard to gauge match fitness in the training times as they are with COVID. It's very hard to recreate match play in training, because the rest of the players are preparing for games every 3 days, and we don't have any academy games that we can mix bubbles. So every player, not just Christian, that comes back from fitness, it's actually sometimes more difficult at the moment to get them ready to start games. So we'll see.
Anita Jones, PLP.
Afternoon, Frank.
Hi.
You beat Tottenham in both league games last season, but they look a different proposition this time round. Do you feel like you're playing a different Spurs side to that of last season?
Yeah, I certainly don't put anything on the fact that we beat them twice last season. It's every new year will bring something else. I think Tottenham invested heavily in the break and brought in some very good players, experienced players, top level players. That will strengthen their squad, no doubt, and they already had a really strong squad already before that. So I'm expecting a tough match, whatever. Their start's shown that. They've shown the squad that they have, and the fact that they also have a depth in their squad, which was shown last night, and the fact that they can make so many changes in the Europa League.
I know you already touched on you and Tottenham being title contenders, but how important is it to beat them in order to fulfill your ambition this season?
Well, I think in the short term, it's the game that's in front of us, and when you're playing rivals in terms of people that are fighting near you, then it's obviously important to try and win those games, and it can be very good for confidence. They're playing very well. They obviously beat Manchester City last week, and you can imagine the bouncing confidence that gave them. So we're in a similar position. In the bigger picture, there's a long way to go, so I don't think it's going to be absolutely telling for either of us. But at this moment, of course, we prepare to try and win the game, to gain points against a close rival.
Martin Tyler.
Hi, Frank.
Hi, Martin.
Just a quick about the way the game might pan out. It's wonderful watching the way you play. Congratulations the way you've woven all your attacking options to get the best out of them so quickly. And you're a very attack-minded side, an attack-minded manager. But Jose loves that. They're very well set up on the counter-attack, Spurs. Will you have to think long and hard about how and when to go at Tottenham, or can you just go and play it as another game the way the Chelsea have been playing?
I think when you have to respect Tottenham and the way they're playing and the quality they have and their style and how they like to approach games, and I'm sort of very aware of it. And the game last week had lots of pointers to that. But I also think they're a team and a squad that are so talented that they can play in various ways. I don't want to expect anything against their team, because they have ways where I think they can put pressure up you higher up the pitch. They tend to be more counter-attacking at the moment, but I'm not going into it expecting that. With us, I think one of the best things I've seen in us recently is the balance in our team. So I'd like to think that we're not an overly attacking team that will leave ourselves vulnerable, but we have to be aware, particularly of a player at the level of Harry Kane and the relationship that him and Son have at the minute. I don't think you can look past that. My job is to understand that and try and make sure the players have all the information for them to go and deal with the game.
Nick Purell.
Hi Frank, thanks for your time as always. Just on Jose, does what he's doing now with Spurs kind of prove the old adage that form's temporary and class is permanent? And is he just as difficult a guy to manage against and just as talented manager as he ever has been?
Yeah, of course he is. You don't have a record as decorated as Jose Mourinho has as a manager without being a very talented coach. And for all of us, the game is so reactionary at the moment, particularly in the modern era with social media reactions, that form will always be judged very harshly for any manager that they are, and Tottenham are in good form. So they're on a good run, they have good players, they have a good manager. They just will be a very difficult game for us.
Alison Bender.
Hi Frank, how are you doing?
Hi Alison.
I just wonder, when the manager doesn't necessarily know their best 11, it's often seen as a negative. But I think for Chelsea, you've got so many great players and so many fantastic combinations. Does it feel like more of a positive to you? And in light of that, how difficult has it been for you as a manager to select your best 11 for this game?
Well, it's difficult, and I imagine it's difficult for Tottenham as well. We have similar teams towards the top of the Premier League when you're fighting on so many levels, and we are in the Champions League and the league and the cups that come around. You want to have competition in places to protect yourself over the course of a season, but more than anything to generate competition, healthy competition within the squad, to have players pushing each other. That doesn't always mean on a settled 11. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So at the moment, I'm happy with the level of competition. And if it's a problem for me to pick the team, then let's make that a positive, to try and make our squad one of our strengths. But as I say, we come up against a team in Tottenham that have comparable strength in the fact that, you see last night Gareth Bale and Dele Alli come into the team, and whether they start at the weekend or not, but those are big players that are ready to come in. We have our own, hopefully, versions of that in positions, and it's about how I try and deal with that from our end.
James Ollie. Hi Frank, you've spoken very respectfully about Jose there, but there was the touchline thing that was previously mentioned, and also when you won the league game there at Spurs last December, he described Chelsea as using Antonio Conte's system and not yours. Jose obviously does this sort of thing with a lot of managers. I mean, are you surprised though that you're one of them, given your long-standing relationship?
No, I'm not surprised in anything in management, because I think we all have similar jobs to do, and we all have to sit in these press conferences, and we all have our personalities, and I've got respect for Jose as a manager, and I think that's just how it is. I didn't take any offence to the talk of an Antonio Conte's system or whatever. I played that system clearly a lot differently last year when we did play it to how Conte would have done, but Jose can have his opinions, and it's not a problem. I've got respect for him, and it's not nothing contentious for me.
Harry Brown.
Frank, you talked about how Jose Mourinho took your game to another level. There were queries about whether Harry Kane will be able to score enough goals underneath him. He's actually developed into a playmaker now. How do you assess his development under Jose Mourinho? Is he now a player that's less predictable?
Well, firstly, the queries of Harry Kane are incredible and a nonsense. No matter who was managing him, the player that Harry Kane is one of the best players in world football. Has always had, I think, the talents to play as an out-and-out 9 or someone he can drop off. And now he's developing in his own way as he matures as a player. He's a really impressive player. There's no doubt about that. I've got a huge amount of respect for Harry Kane. And around him now, he's got a very solid team, squad, good players around him, players that want to run behind if he does want to come short. So I think he's a very good and a very intelligent player, and it's as simple as that. He's got a very good coach. And that's why they're in a strong position, because as a coach, we do rely on our top players to perform, and at the minute Harry Kane is an example of a player really in a sweet spot and playing top football.
Okay, last two.
seconds I am actually, but then 1 second. Actually, can it come back a fraction? No. Good point, actually. Hold on. That's as far back as it can go, and that's as far back as it can go. But does it? It's only literally just. Hang on. Point actually. It's only. It's right on the sort of edge. Oh, I'll show you. Come here. I'll show you. So that's the corner flag, and then you've got the frame of the screen there. So it's only really if the first goal goes in there. Yeah. And obviously that's right. Yeah. See what I mean? Yeah.
Livramento into Webster. There's Bert Harris with the cross. The spinners done for Barnsley there. Drilled in. Livramento not giving it up. Still not out of play. Well, chance here. Scramble. Soonsup Bell. Second time round it's in. It's taken 90 seconds. His 12th goal of the season already. Right place, right time. Chelsea 1 up. What a ball that is from Lewis Bate. Tino Livramento quick enough to get there. Soonsup Bell's in the middle and he's got another. That is a fantastic goal. All three aspects of it. Bates' vision, Livramento's pace and precision. And Soonsup Bell on the end of it again.
Next one, Hackers.
A little bit tight for Webster. The ricochet falls the way of Lewis Bate. And again, he spotted Livramento. Might be time for a third before the break. Here there is. It's a first half hat-trick for Jude Soonsup Bell. And it's the exact same combination as the second goal was. Connor Hodgson to deliver. Oh, keeper Kane didn't get there, it's in. Jack Sherlock brings Barnsley back into the contest. Brave header in amongst the crowd. Cut out by Webster. Excellent game he's had in the middle of the park for Chelsea. Then Livramento pokes it on, and this is Miles Pert Harris. Livramento surely, yeah, it's 4. 3-goal lead restored quickly. Well, he started that by winning the ball, Tino Livramento, and he's on the end of it too. It will be Ben Elliott. What a goal that is! And what an introduction, just off the bench. And I'm sure he meant it. Brilliant for Ben Elliott. 5-1. Lovely weight of pass there from Harvey Vale, and Soonsup Bell onside here. He's kept it in somehow, and still going to Soonsup Bell. That's outrageous. Chelsea have 6, and he's got 4 of them. The confidence flowing. 15 goals this season, but this is something else. Vale quickly onto it. Harvey Vale, lovely looking effort. It's another glorious goal. Harvey Vale's really come to the party in this second half. Made the goal for Soonsup Bell earlier. That is a peach. Final seconds of stoppage time. If they're going to get another, they'll have to be quick. This is Bate. Oh, what a goal! They're having their own private goal of the season competition here, Chelsea.
cannot wait for fans to be allowed back into the bridge. It may be without fans today, but it certainly isn't without feeling. It's Frank Lampard's Chelsea versus Jose Mourinho's Tottenham Hotspur. What a game. Right, let's go straight into it then. Usually we do a one to watch around Chelsea, but it feels only right today that we do have a little look across at our visitors. And the one to watch today is Harry Kane. We've all mentioned it, we've all thought about it, so let's go straight into it. I mean, Harry Kane has got 8 goals and 10 assists in 12 games this season, 16 goal involvements in 9 Premier League games. He's sensational. Pat, he seems to have added something a little bit different to his game this season, and he's kind of become an all-round threat, which is, I suppose, why we're taking a closer look at him today.
The problem with Harry Kane is that he adds something every single season. And that's really unusual for top-level footballers. You know, you get to somewhere with 22, 23, 24, you know what you're good at, you work at that. It's not like that with Harry. Harry gets other bits and adds them in, and it's every single season. I have to say, my first season, the first season he scored a whole bunch of goals, I thought, yeah, very good. We'll see if that happens next year. Because I couldn't see what it specifically was that he had, because he wasn't lightning pace. You know, other things, did he have the vision, all that? I didn't know. He's just added in. By the way, he's quicker than he used to be. His vision is absolutely magnificent now. He's stronger, but he was also always a natural goal scorer. Yeah, he's got the whole package. He's a super player. We do need to keep an eye on him, but then any team in the world would.
Absolutely. And Zach, everything that Pat's echoed there, he does seem to add more and more to his game each season. He's one of those players as well that I think great players, we do tend to do it in this country. Great players, because they're great consistently, they don't perhaps get the recognition, the praise they deserve. Harry Kane would be an asset to any team in the world. And he's a player that we need to keep an eye on today, but also he's a player that makes it very difficult to keep an eye on today.
Yeah, indeed, man. Some of the best players in the world make their own luck, and Harry Kane is very much about that. This year, he's now an exceptional passer, which is ridiculous. Those assists that he's got already this season. I mean, the Southampton game also probably maybe amplified it a little bit, but still, for years, I think it's been said that he looked like he was getting a bit tired. When he got injured, he'd rush himself back, and now obviously due to the lockdown and football having a pause, he was able to have that rest that he really needed for the past couple of seasons, and you've seen it now. He's making the runs that he wasn't making last season. And every team in the world, look, I'm pretty sure Frank Lampard has spent the week, if not longer, thinking, how do we stop Harry Kane? How do we stop him being able to get assists? How do we stop him being able to shoot? We've done it well last season in both the games. Let's just hope we can do it this season.
Jay, someone that I suppose will have looked and probably learnt a bit from Harry Kane over the last couple of years, and a player that's hot on his heels for England, and especially is Tammy Abraham. He's been brilliant for us in the last couple of games. He's played his way into the team. He starts again today as the focal striker, and he's another one, like we just said about Harry Kane. He seems to be adding new strings to his bow week in, week out at the moment, never mind season by season.
Yeah, he's in the first team on merit, and that's Frank will do that. You know, when Timo turned up, I think you'll expect the team to go down the middle. You'll sit one side, you've got Ziyech, options, Alan. There are different options out there, but no, that's not been the case. Alan has come in, Tammy has come in, and he deserves to be starting up top. More often not, he gets a goal, took it extremely well against Newcastle last weekend. I think his game, his all-round game has improved season on season on. It's all about goals for strikers, and he's getting there. His numbers are good. His numbers are really, really good for a player of his age. In the Premier League, they're pretty good, and he keeps improving on that. The link-up play that is going to be crucial. You have to play around him. He's capable of doing that. His hold-up play is going to have to be good as well. The line that they're going to play today, they might not be the sort of second midfield will be very tight. You don't expect there to be a lot of space in which he has to operate. So he'll be looking for help. He's certainly looking for players around him to supply the bullets. So, yeah, I mean, Harry Kane is... There's nothing he can't do. Both feet, scores all different types of goals. He can play 10, he can play 9, he runs in behind. Very cute, very clever. You've seen how he can go down in the box, always looking for those little fouls, always looking to manipulate the referee. But he's a very, very, very good player. Arguably, right now, probably the best player in the league. Keep him quiet. He goes a very, very long way to stop his goals.
Abby, just continuing on with Tammy Abraham there, because obviously, you know, we mentioned a little bit earlier in the pre-match show about it being Roman Abramovich's 1,000th game in charge of Chelsea, and, you know, a lot outside in will look at his legacy and being, you know, the Timo Werners of this world, the Kai Havertz, the players that have been brought in for large amounts of money that other clubs will be sniffing around. But internally, we know how much work and how much dedication has gone into developing younger players and making the academy as successful as it is. Someone like Tammy Abraham leading the line in a London derby today is probably a better underlining point of Roman's 1,000 games in charge. And hopefully, if he can steal the show today, then no one will be happier than us lot sitting here.
Oh, absolutely. I'm always rooting for Tammy, just because he's, one of our own. He's come through the academy. And like you say, playing in a big game like this shows how much trust that Frank Lampard puts in him. But he has been performing great this season. So why not? Why not start him today? And if he scores, then boy, are we going to celebrate.
Absolutely. And he's doing a job as well, because we've seen the quality in the squad. And speaking of actually someone that's not involved today, he could well have been, and I suppose a lot of us probably thought he might have been, has been Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's been superb taking his chance when called upon this season. And Pat's been looking about why his versatility and why everything that he does has been vital for Chelsea this season.
It's not been the easiest times for Callum Hudson-Odoi. Injuries and then not being able to break into the team, but when he's got his chance, he's really started to take it now. Positivity, always going beyond the fullback, always wanting to get into those areas, and that's a superb ball in to Timo Werner. But it's his first move, that's what it's all about if you're a wide player. You want to be positive, give him go and get behind defenders, and if you get a corner kick, you've done enough in that situation. But that's what I like, the positivity. Don't go backwards. First movement is always try and take a man on. Takes one on, takes two out of the game and flicks a really nice ball down there into the corner. That is perfectly good enough, and every time he got the ball, he done something positive. But this was seriously positive. Look, he sees the space. In with pace there. He's never going to get caught, but he calms down at the last moment. He had a brilliant first half, but not just offensively, defensively. Look at him there. He knows there's a problem behind him. He figured it out and he's got back there. He put some amount of work rate into that first half. However, second half maybe tired physically and mentally a bit. Understandable because limited amount of games and not getting 90 minutes. However, look at him now. Looking confident, looking better. Lot to add this season for us.
Pat, it's disappointing that Callum's not involved today, but it does kind of underline how good we are in those areas and the competition that Callum has had to, I suppose, nudge to the side to get his chance this season. And when he has been given that opportunity, he's taken it very well. He's been brilliant so far, hasn't he?
I think he can count himself extraordinarily unlucky in this one, because maybe not necessarily is that to start, because Ziyech has been absolutely fantastic. He is probably going to start because his creativity has been fantastic. But he was man of the match away from home there in the Champions League game, and he scored a goal, and he did nothing wrong. Yeah, he tired near the end, but even his impact in second half, it must have been a massive temptation. But our bench is so stupidly strong, and that is the problem. There's nothing more than that. You've done nothing wrong, Callum, and the manager's noted it, absolutely noted it. So really wanted to talk about him to say to people, look, Callum looks as if he's back. Attitude looks spot on, work rate spot on. He's doing the hard stuff as well as doing the positive stuff. All that is very, very good for not only Callum, but for all of us as well. The future's back. Lots of people were whispering about him leaving at some point. I can't see that now. He's just added that again, and he's back into the fold, and he's fighting. It's hard to get into this team. Look how hard Tammy's had to try, and he's back in again. It doesn't happen over a week. You have to keep doing it.
Well, it brings us nicely actually on, Pat, because everything you're saying there, mate, is our hot topic 3 for today, which is options out wide. We'll start with Ben, who's obviously at Stamford Bridge for us today. Ben, like Pat was saying, Callum can probably feel a little bit hard done by he's not in the squad today, but he just emphasises the quality we have in those wide areas. And for Pulisic to be back on the bench, Havertz to be back on the bench, Werner can play wide, Ziyech as well. The ability and the players we've got in that area means that all of them have got to compete, and that's exactly what we want.
Yeah, it is ridiculous competition in the best possible way. The only thing you can say is if you have a tiny window, it can't just be good. You've got to be really, really good. And he's had a tiny window here with Kai out isolated, Pulisic limited to only 5 appearances this season. He had to be, he did play well at Rennes for sure. He hasn't got an assist yet this season, but he should have. If Timo Werner had stuck that one in, Callum would have had. What a great ball that was. But the people he's behind, you cannot drop Mason Mount. Hakim Ziyech has come in and hit the ground running. Timo Werner's been a Premier League ever present. Tammy Abraham has played more than any of us would have said. You're essentially looking at 6/7, because Mason you could call as a midfielder, but you're looking at 3 people for 6 places. And at most clubs, he wouldn't be up against that level of competition. He'd be playing more. And I suppose for him, it's this nightmare catch-22 situation where really, to get to what we think he can do consistently, he'd need to play 4 or 5 starts in a row or out of 6 games or something like that. But how do you get up to that form without playing that? But if you're not at that form straight away, you're not going to get those starts. It's a very, very difficult situation.
Ben, just on that, because obviously Timo Werner playing wide left is perhaps the reason why his minutes have been limited even further, because Timo comes in, he plays from left, he scores goals. Ziyech plays from the right, is his creativity, like you already mentioned there. What does Callum need to add then? Is it goals? Is it assists? Is it perhaps just the fact that he's a different player, he's very direct, and he gives us something different, and you have to wait for those chances? What do you think it is?
Well, Tammy is the curveball, really, isn't it? That has maybe surprised a few of us, because that's one of those positions that at the moment is taken. So that's one fewer gaps for him to get in. But I think he could be more direct, actually. I mean, what got us all so excited when we first saw him at 15 and 16 in the youth team was how direct he was. Pat will probably give us something more technical on this, but for me, whether he's starting from the left or from the right, he just comes inside. At the moment, too often, it's 99% of the time I want to see him go on the outside of a fullback, whether it's on his left or his right boot. But I think he needs to almost be more brave and ambitious with it. Something Jason and I talked about a lot with attacking players in the past. And I'm going to give you 3 examples. Sturridge, Kalou, Wright Phillips from sort of different times. But when they had limited opportunities, they would come on and they would try and beat everyone and smash it in the top corner from 25 yards, which is the other way and also wrong. I feel like Callum's almost gone the more conservative way and plays a little safer than he can to try and not make a mistake. That's how I'm reading it anyway.
Okay, Ben, brilliant, mate. Thank you so much for that. A nice one for getting involved, and we will catch up with you a little bit later on. Go and enjoy the game. We'll catch you for commentary, obviously, in a little while. And Jace, just on that, because Ben makes a great point about the players when you're given the opportunity to take it, and I suppose the different approaches to that. But who do you see as I don't want to say the first name on the team sheet, because I guess that depends on the system, doesn't it? But do you perhaps pick players for system? Because Mason now playing deeper, does that mean that you have more freedom in wide areas rather than a 10? What do you think?
I think it's taken this time for Frank to actually nail down what he thinks is his starting 11, his best starting 11, and his best formation. N'Golo now is clearly going to be his role, back to where we saw him when he won the title, where really he made his name here at Stamford Bridge, in that deeper line of the field. He is the best recovery of a ball winner in the middle of park I've ever seen. And when he's slightly further forward, even though he can affect the game higher up, his defensive ability to deal with things on an attack, when we're perhaps under the cosh, he sometimes gets bypassed. Where he is now is, for me, his best position. He is an attacking midfielder. That's his role, box to box. But his best role, for me, is where it is. And I think Frank has nailed that down now. It's really interesting to think that when Frank first came in, Jorginho was there, and that was the ball. The retention was more important. Right now, he's got 2 players either side, Mason and Cole, who can do that job as well. And when we lose the ball, we become a 3. We're looking for Timo to do his job, for Ziyech to do his job, and then he almost become a 5 in the middle, depending where the ball is. But for me right now, I would say, in a game like this, the one I was looking for, above anyone else, N'Golo Kanté. Without N'Golo, we are, for me, a completely different team. Totally.
Jay, good work, mate, as usual. We'll let you go and get set for commentary. We'll catch up with you at half-time. Nice one, Jay. Thank you very much, mate. Now, the rivalry with Spurs is huge. We know that. It's something the manager was asked about in this week's Ask Frank.
Good news this week with regards to the introduction of fans once again to Premier League games. How much are you looking forward to welcoming supporters back against Leeds in a week or so?
Yeah, we can't wait. We can't wait. It's been really tough times for everybody on many levels, but in the football sense, the interaction with our fans in general, it's what makes one of the huge reasons that makes the Premier League so special. And for us, myself as manager and the players, we're very respectful of the huge support that we have. And the fans obviously come to matches and support us like that. So we're very happy, and it's a small step in the beginning, but we hope that moves forward quickly in a safe way so that we can have as many fans as possible back at the Bridge.
Obviously not there in time for this weekend's big London derby. How much are you looking forward to this as a test? Yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. It's going to be a very tough match. We know that Tottenham are in very good form. They have a very talented squad. So it's all eyes are on our game this weekend, because also we've been playing well and we're near the top of the league as well. But
the Chelsea-Tottenham game always has a lot on it for the rivalry factor and the fact that we're both competing at the top end of the league. Maybe has a little bit more, so it's something that we should be excited about, but probably in a work sense for us more focused about, because we want to go and do the job right.
I know we've spoken previously and you've talked to us about Jose's man management skills during your playing career. How would he go about preparing you for a match of this size?
Well, I always spoke about how influential Jose was on my early parts of my career when he came to the club, and I was in my mid-20s. But I try and take my own approach to how I would motivate the players for these kind of games. My understanding of them and playing in a lot of them and now coaching them is that with this level of game, the extra focus, the extra concentration, the understanding of the level of opposition that we have against us is really key. So the players already know that and feel that, and it's about trying to get the balance right in that preparation where we take care of business in terms of analysing the talents of Tottenham, but also have a confidence in ourselves that we're playing well. So alongside that focus needs to be a confidence that we're playing well, and we want to try and win the match.
Is that preparation an element of the role that you've become to really enjoy now? Yeah,
it's a huge part of the job. You know, people ask you if you miss playing and the adrenaline rush of playing. I don't so much because I played for a very long time and enjoyed my career, but what I do enjoy now on this side of it is how much we can prepare and put the players in the best position to perform at their best individually, collectively come weekend games. So preparation is a huge part of what we do in terms of giving the players that information and the balance of how we train and getting them ready. So it's that's a big part of my job and the staff's job.
We've obviously spoken recently about just how well these new signings have adapted to life at Chelsea in recent weeks. Are they all aware of the magnitude of a game like this? Yeah,
that they are. It's my job to make sure they are if they're new and didn't realise. But we all know as Chelsea fans that the rivalry between ourselves and Tottenham for many reasons over the years has been a big one. Whenever we play, it doesn't matter. But it's for sure the players have to feel that rivalry in a very controlled and positive manner. They have to feel what's on this game because I'm sure Tottenham will come into it with the same feeling. So it's important for us that we do.
Finally, Frank, sad news to the world of football this week with regards to the passing of Diego Maradona. What are your thoughts, your memories of him as a player growing up?
Well, I've got great memories of Diego Maradona. He was my idol as a young player. He was the first player on the world stage that really made me sit up and take notice. I was a football-loving young boy at the time. He's a footballing god for the way he played. For me, the greatest ever. If not, people can have their opinions on that, but everybody would, I think, agree that he's up there with the best. And obviously a really sad loss for football as a whole that he's passed. So his legend will certainly live forevermore for what he did on the football pitch.
Fittingly, Frank Lampard spoke about Diego Maradona in there, of one of, if not the very best of all time. Sadly passed away this week, age 60. Pat, I want to speak to you first about Diego, because obviously he's an incredibly special talent, and I will have all seen the tributes that have poured in over the last couple of days and the grieve in the morning that lots of football fans have felt. But you'll probably remember the 1986 World Cup as that's the one that we all think of, I suppose, when we think of Diego Maradona. How special was he, and what do you remember from that time?
Around about that time, he was by some distance the best player in the world. Before that, I'd been recording on videotape, it was that long ago, every single time he was on TV, which wasn't that often because you didn't get as many games through. So he was playing in Italy and I'd be recording it, and I would make 2 video recorders and keep every bit of skill and try and learn them. And I was quite skillful, but some of them just completely done me. I just couldn't learn them. It was just too complicated. It was just too skillful and special. But I mean, having played against him, I remember the game I'm playing against him, I've got Lineker playing, I've got Platini playing, I've got I could mention every player in that team, and they were a world-renowned name. And every single one of us cared nothing. We're just looking at Diego. And all the players, all the fans, all the journalists, nobody cared about anybody, just Diego. That's how far ahead he was even of the best players around him. We were all gobsmacked. He was amazing. And I don't know if he's the best player that's ever played football, but I don't think there's ever been a more skillful one. I really don't.
Zachy, like Pat's just said there, I'm sure a lot of players will echo that, and probably players, again, like Pat's level, ones that we think of as sort of skillful top-tier players will have learned a lot from Maradona and taken a lot of their game from him. So his influence will last and his legacy will live forever, won't it?
Oh, 100%. I think when people talk about the best players in the world, there's 4 people that they mention: Pele, Messi, Ronaldo, and Maradona. And for years, forever, if you type into whatever platform best skills, half of it will just be Maradona. You know, who the best goals, half of it will be Maradona. And look, even when you look at the players and all the outcry that's come afterwards, and the support and the love from all these legends like Lionel Messi, obviously he scored today and he's dedicating this goal to Maradona. It shows how much of an impact not just he's had on Argentina, but the world, and how everyone adores him. He's someone that will be sorely missed, and probably someone we won't really see like himself, because not just was he fantastic on the ball, his media presence and his whole personality, everyone loved and bought into as well. Don't know if we'll ever see that again.
Mate, I think you're spot on, and leaving it with Lionel Messi is perfect, because he called Diego Maradona eternal, which I think is just the ultimate and the perfect way to summarise it. We could speak about him all day long because he is a legend, but that is all from us right now. We'll be back at half-time to discuss how the action is unfolding. Chelsea versus Spurs, live commentary in the company of Ben Andrews and Jason Cundy.